Hello, welcome to another video with me. If you are new to my channel, my name is Melissa. I am an illustrator and graphic designer primarily, but I have a background in fashion design and just an immense love for astrology. I want to actually talk about how and why should you dress inspired by your astrological placements. If you are familiar with my TikTok, you know that I put a heavy emphasis on your rising and Venus sign combination, and I've even done a series on it. But actually, this video was inspired by some of the comments that I would get in those videos. They would like what I would do for a Cancer rising, and they would relate to it, even though they themselves are not Cancer risings. But they would mention they have Cancer placements, like a Cancer moon or a Cancer sun. And I would get asked that all the time, asking, hey, I relate to this, but I'm not a Cancer rising. Why is that? So I want to cover that. And I also want to cover how I go about finding different muses based off of your astrological placements, and how to take inspiration from some of their styles and incorporate it into your own wardrobe. I'm going to be using my chart as an example. Feel free to pull up your chart as well and follow along. As always, I always use astrocharts.com. Super user-friendly, and the information is done in a very clean, formatted way. Also, make sure that when you pull up your chart that you definitely know what your birth time is. Every minute and every second is super critical when finding out your exact placements. What are the things that we're going to be looking for that specifically apply to style and aesthetics? So definitely keep that in mind when watching this video. I am by no means an astrologer. I am not going to be able to tell you career advice or what your future may hold. There are plenty of other wonderful resources for that. Based off of my background, we're going to stick to style, design, and fashion. Are the couple of things that you're going to look for when you pull up your chart: rising or ascendant sign. I am a Pisces rising. As you find out what your rising sign is, really have a think of, do you resonate with that? How much of that sign do you feel like? So for me personally, I really do resonate as a Pisces rising. As an Aries sun, my whole life, nobody could ever guess that I'm an Aries sun. Everyone always thinks that I was actually a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. Like, there's something about my energy that's very water heavy. That's actually the next thing you're going to look for in your chart. Is there an abundance of a certain sign in your chart? So even if you have a certain sign in your rising or your sun, but if you have an abundance of a certain sign, that sign's energy is going to be quite present in your overall persona. So even though your rising sign is the representation of your outward appearance and your outward expression, there are other aspects of you that are going to shine through, especially if they're quite intense or very present in your chart. For example, your moon sign is a representation of your inner emotions and who you are behind closed doors and deep down when you don't have a face on. So, but if you're very comfortable in your moon sign and you are aware of those traits and maybe even take pride in it, that can also peek through in your style and aesthetic as well. My chart will see that I have an abundance of Pisces. So that only backs up the fact that that Pisces energy is there. We see it in my Mercury, which is the placement for communication. So how I communicate is very Pisces-like. I'm not very good with words. My Mars, which is, I hear a lot of things about what Mars is, but it's like how you fight. It is also what you look for in a man if you are interested in masculine presenting partners. Your Mars is like, because it is the placement of war, it is how you argue and how you handle conflict. And I also have Pisces in my Saturn, and as I mentioned plenty of times, it's my rising, which I feel like is very, very prominent. Next, you're going to look for what is the dominant elements in your chart and how do they play around with one another. So as we see, I have a lot of Pisces, so we have water, and I feel very comfortable in my moon sign. I feel very like I resonate a lot with my moon sign, which is Cancer. which is another water sign, and that would mean Pisces and Cancer really play well with one another. They're very naturally harmonious. But then you have that underlying current of my fire signs, which is my Sun in Aries and my Venus in Aries. And Aries is a very intense sign. It's very impulsive. It's kind of jumping. So I have an abundance of water elementals, but then you have that heat from the fire. So you're going to have a little bit of that conflict. The water is going to be boiling a little bit. And how does that translate in style? So you're going to have a bit of that softness, ethereal dreaminess that you associate with water signs, but then you have that sensuality, that boldness that fire signs are associated with. And that could actually create a very interesting juxtaposition that could apply to other elements. So if you have an abundance of fire signs, it'd be an inverse. You can have more bold patterns, more sensual silhouettes in your wardrobe. You can have more reds, more bold, attention-grabbing colors. If you are earth dominant, maybe you gravitate towards more linens, more natural, sustainable fibers. Another thing that a lot of people forget about earth signs is they're very indulgent, and they definitely prioritize quality. And a lot of earth signs, so we have Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, they're stickler for the details. That's why they're often stereotyped as the CEOs or the organized ones of the zodiac. It's mainly because they notice the details of things that other signs don't see. So it's just like a different way of thinking. If you have an abundance of water, as I was mentioning, you're going to have a lot of dreamy elements, darker colors, modern takes on fantasy wear. And if you have an abundance of air, that's going to be a lot more free-spirited. It's going to be a little on the flowy side and very effortless, kind of like Libras and Geminis and Aquarius. They're the signs that kind of have that like carefree attitude, and they're very also experimental because of that carefree attitude. So now that we know the dominant energies in our chart, I want you to make a top 3 list. So editing Melissa over here, I just want to say that my top 3 ended up just being my big 3, which is my Sun, Moon, and Rising, but of course ranking differently, more so as my Rising, Sun, and Moon. But for some people, I want them to account for other placements as well. Even though it may be your top 3, there are some people who just don't resonate with any of their top 3, and it may be because of a placement they have in their Pluto, Saturn, and Sun. And I just don't want you guys to discount that, even though your dominant placements may just end up being your big 3. For me personally, I have Pisces in first place. It is my rising, but it is also in abundance, and it's in very critical parts of my chart. And I have Aries as my second. It is my Sun sign and my Venus sign, and I feel those placements very intensely. I'm very impulsive, I'm very stubborn. And then lastly, I have my Cancer placement, which is only in my moon, but I do really resonate with my Cancer, and I do see it shine through every now and then, and I feel very personal about it. So now that you have your top 3, we're going to look up different celebrities or curate different muses that are associated with these 3 signs that you chose. So you can go the celebrity route. It is often recommended when analyzing astrology to actually analyze celebrities, just because they do present their lives very publicly, and also their fashion and wardrobe is for the public eye. And also we have a variety of red carpet wear, so we see them at their most extreme. And then we also see them in their streetwear, so when they're most comfortable. And of course, this is not going to be the easiest, but this is part of the fun of research. So what I like to do is I'm going to go back to astrochart.com and search by rising sign. So we are going back to rising sign because, again, that is your appearance, your outward expression. And when it comes to celebrities, that is what we're going to be basing it off of. So let's start off with Pisces. So as a Pisces rising, I'm going to look for other Pisces risings. And as you look through, you're going to pick any celebrities that stick out to you. And for me, it was Kristen Ritter. I'm very familiar with her from Breaking Bad, her show, The Beeve from Apartment 23, I think. And she plays a good mix of quirky and dark roles, and I really love that. My favorite word, I resonate with that. So I love that mixture. So this coat that I have is purely based off of an outfit that I saw Kristen Ritter in. So as you pull inspiration images of these celebrities, I want you to think about those pieces separately and how and where you can find those. For Aries, I'm going to choose Penelope Cruz. I love her mix of sensual wear. It's almost, it's very chic and timeless. And then for Cancer, I'm going to use Liv Tyler, specifically from the 90s. I love what she wore in Empire Records. I love the ethereal vibe she had as a Lord of the Rings character, and so on. We have our three muses. That is the celebrity route. If you really want to and you're completely against using celebrities, you can also create your own personas for each of these signs as well, and think about, oh, what would my Pisces energy wear, and so on and so forth. And that would require a lot more critical thinking and creativity, but can also be a lot of fun as well. So what I like to do is I like to go on Pinterest and create a vision board of sorts, and I like to have it private, just for my eyes only. And I look up these celebrities with the rising signs that I looked up. So we have Kristen Ritter, who's representing Pisces, the Pisces energy in general. Yes, she is a Pisces rising, but I'm also using her for all of my Pisces energy. And Penelope Cruz, she may be an Aries rising, and I may not be an Aries rising, but I can find similarities and appreciation amongst her Aries energy. So that is what we're looking for. We're not going down to the nitty-gritty details. We are going for overall aura and essence. They are a movie star. You can watch different movie clips and maybe see like which movies act full dressing. I would definitely be wary of those, specifically like very dramatic movies or period dramas, because the way they were dressed was curated for their character and not themselves. However, some of these actors, they are typecasted for a reason, so even if it is a costume, it may actually speak to their character in real life. So, for example, Liv Tyler, no, we're not in the Lord of the Rings world, but she is typecasted in these very dreamy, fantasy-like characters because of the overall essence she has. So the fantasy drapey wear that she wore in Lord of the Rings can be modernized and worn in a day-to-day life. In conclusion, how this applied to me. So Kristen Ritter is whose fashion I feel like I have followed the most, whether it's like actual clothes I wear, the band tees, even my hair. Penelope Cruz kind of seeps through in my more formal wear, so like the long slip dresses, and also her energy that I try to channel. Like, she's very confident and naturally sensual. And then Liv Tyler, here and there in my more casual wear. I love plaid skirts that is reminiscent of her 90s days, and some of her ethereal makeup I try to emulate as well. If you watched this video all the way through, maybe in the comments tell me the 3 muses that you concluded based off of your placements, and I'm thinking in the next video I can take my 3 muses, my 3 dominant placements, go thrift shopping, and kind of walk you through how to go thrifting or go shopping with these elements in mind. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great week. Until next time, bye.